right, my friends, welcome back to another episode here on the Fit Father Project podcast. Today, I am honored to be joined by Mr. Mike Harari, and he has a really interesting story because he joined the Fit Father Project and it didn't work for him. And then he's going to tell us about that. And then he ended up getting back on the bandwagon and he's seen amazing results. Mike is 40 years young, has a family. So Mike, welcome to the show. I'd love you to introduce yourself, your name, your age, where you're from, a little bit of what you do for work, and then let's get into your Fit Father journey.
Awesome. Well, first off, just really glad to be here. Pretty excited. Thank you so much for kind of reaching out. I was really happy when you guys reached out. But so my name is Mike Harari. I am 40 years old. I actually live in Montreal. I have 3 kids. My youngest is actually, I want to say, pushing 3 months. So literally, we've just kind of completed the family. No more kids at this point in time. Basically, for work, I work with my family, pretty much in the telecom industry, and have been in that business now for, I want to say, 15 years. So it's been quite from a work standpoint, it's been great. And yeah, I mean, essentially, I've always kind of, I think like many of us, I've always kind of wanted to focus on my health, or tried focusing on my health, or always had my health on my mind, and tried multiple different programs up and down, and have always just kind of been up and down, and kind of healthy, unhealthy, feeling good, not feeling good. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit about me.
So I'm going to say this, Mike, you're 40.
Yeah.
I'd say most of the guys who are in our program, although we're over 40, are in their 50s and 60s. What really prompted you to make this a priority? I mean, you're having kids, but like, what prompted you to search on Google and find Fit Father Project? Like, what was motivating you at that time?
So, I've always been an active guy, I guess. In my early 30s, again, as I said, I've always kind of wanted to be the healthy guy, or be the guy that, was able to kind of stay in shape. And so, I got into running in my early 30s, and I ended up running multiple, half marathons, full marathons, and triathlons even. And as much as I was active, I never really felt healthy. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where, where it kind of started. And then just, recently, just kind of with having kids, it gets busy. And, obviously I had, not that I stopped the running aspect, but it definitely had to slow down a bit. I mean, I started running when I had no kids. So I try and get out as much as I can, even though, now it's kind of getting busy. But I mean, ultimately it just, everything just kind of slowed down. And, not really, priorities from food kind of just, took a back seat. Again, I always had the, I gotta get healthy. I gotta feel good. I gotta stay in shape always, every single day, on the back of my mind. And then just kind of got fed up at one point. And then that's kind of really how I started with you guys.
So you found us online, and what I think is really powerful about your story is you found us in 2019 and you joined the program, but you didn't actually succeed with the program until 2021.
That's
so
right.
Let's talk about that, because
Yeah, sure.
I think this is some real talk. A lot of times we join things with great intentions,
Yep.
but they don't end up working out. So what was that like for you at that time, and what happened?
I found you guys on Google really from just being fed up. I think that's kind of a good way to put it. Uncertain about, how to do what. And, the first go, it was a lot of new information, right? Like all this, the whole, different, eating periods and eating times. And I think historically, I've always been kind of, you start a new program, you get excited, and I'm always I fall off the bandwagon within 3 weeks to about a month. That's kind of been my historical cycle.
Yeah.
So it was 2019, and I remember this very clearly. I started the program, and I was doing good. And ironically, it's actually Father's Day came around. And I was on my 10:30, 2:30 dinner cycle. And Father's Day kind of came around and had that really early morning breakfast. And it was probably twice as big as I would normally have.
Mm-hmm.
And it just threw me off. And I knew right away, I was frustrated with myself because I knew right away that it threw me off. And evidently it did.
Mm-hmm.
And so, this was kind of like everybody's kind of working from home and whatnot. And then the next 6 or 7 months saying to myself, I got to get back, I got to get back, I got to get back, but obviously never doing so. And that's where, my wife's pregnant at the point in time. And,
Yeah.
then I just started putting on some weight again. And so I kind of, tapped out at about 210 pounds, which, I guess, I've always been kind of about a 195, 200 pound kind of guy. Um, but this kind of just kind of topped it out for me at about 210. So it was definitely the heaviest that I had been in several years.
So this carries on. We're derailed in June of 2019.
That's right.
You're having kids throughout
Yep.
2020, and then obviously coronavirus stuff in 2020. I
Yep.
imagine there's
We're all
lots of
home.
reasons not to do it, right? Everyone's
Yep.
at home, kids are at home, it's crazy stuff, and you're stuck in the same pattern. Is this
Stuck in the
what's
same
happening?
pattern. That's right. Stuck in the same pattern. Kind of get on a program and within 3 weeks to a month, kind of feel like just fall off the program for various reasons. Like that, I wouldn't say there isn't one specific reason.
Mm-hmm.
So then, come I'll say October 2020, where my wife and I were looking for a new house, and so we end up buying a new house, and we're packing up all our stuff to start moving. So this was late. I want to say late November 2020. At this point in time, we were moving out early December. I'm getting to my get to my closet, and I see a bunch of suits that haven't been worn in about 6 months, maybe more.
Mm-hmm.
And I say to myself, you know what? Just let me just. I mean, I didn't want to be honest with you. I was a bit scared, but I said, screw it. Let me just. And I got to tell you, like, I don't know what it was. It was this bizarre yet very real trigger where I put on these old suits and they fit, but I would not be caught dead outside with them. And that just, I said, something's got to change. I mean, like, again, I kind of always, knew I'm not unhealthy. I'm not healthy. I'm not unhealthy. I'm just kind of in this, I'm coasting.
Yeah, limbo.
Yeah, I'm coasting. And I've always said coasting is the worst.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather be, super heavy or than coast. I mean, coasting is just an awful place to be because you're nor here, you're nor here nor there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I emailed you guys and I requested for the reset. And it was this trigger that literally went off in my head that said, and it's funny because it like, I know we do this for our families, we do this because we have kids, and yeah, I agree 100%, but it was this trigger that just said, this is not good. Like, it's not good. It's just, it's too much of an up and down. There's all these emotions when you do well and you lose 5 pounds, you're like, yeah, but then, if it slows, you're upset or you're struggling and all those emotions. And then there's tons of temptation around you when it comes to food all day long. So I emailed you guys, I reset the program, and it just, like I said, that trigger of, unfortunately, putting on clothes that fit me a few months ago, combined with COVID at the time, combined with being at home, combined with the move, just kind of all came together and it hit me. And I said, I got to find a way to make this last longer than a month. And I think that was my initial, that's the initial motivation. I'm a big believer that I don't know if motivation really lasts long term sometimes. I think that's tough to kind of say, let's be motivated forever. And so rather what I really tried to work on was my discipline. And I really wanted to work on my discipline by saying, I can't go back and fall off the bandwagon, a month in or 3 weeks in or 5 weeks in or whatever the number is. I got to figure something out that's going to work. And that's kind of was my trigger point. And that's kind of how it kind of moved forward. And throughout the move, throughout New Year's, throughout whatever occurred, I just stuck to that meal plan and did my absolute best to not derail from the meal plan as best as I could. That 10:30 window I find is very, very effective for me. I can totally understand how some people might see it tough to wake up and, not eat until 10:30. But I find it very empowering, to be honest, right? I mean, waking up and just kind of like sometimes being really hungry and getting over that hunger, it's like, wow, I can do this. And so that's kind of where that trigger was, and that's kind of where brought me to today.
That's powerful. Like, just listening to that, I'm seeing you in those suits, trying them on. They're tight. And it doesn't matter. That may seem trivial, right? We think we need to be motivated by things like imagining what our great grandkids will never meet them. But like oftentimes it's the tangible stuff, and like that hits deep.
Yeah.
And I can see how there was a shift in your mentality immediately, where there was more power in your decisions and more resolve. And I actually think it's partly because you struggled for a year and a half, that it was just the extra pent up frustration on top of that. There's like this breaking point moment. And I say, thank God it wasn't a heart attack for you as some suits. But from there, you got structure with nutrition. Nutrition was definitely a thing that you needed to work on the most. And for you, intermittent fasting, meaning time restricted eating, you have the first meal at 10:30 to kick things off. Really effective strategy. Obviously work for you.
Yeah.
What happens then as you're starting to follow this? How much weight do you lose? What's the process like? And I want to start there. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So, I've always been good at losing 5, 6, 7 pounds, kind of here and there, right? I've never really found that to be a problem. But really just the restricted timing at 10:30. 10:30 to I know you say 10:30, 2:30, 6:30, but like at one point, like I was adapting the program to myself, and that's one of the things I think is really important, is that we need to be able to adapt. And I agree 100% with what you say. The weight loss program, the diet program, however you want to spin it, that works for you is the one that you can stick to. I mean, you cannot have truer words than that. So for me, it was, I set myself some rules. I said, okay, I'm not going to eat before 10:30, but I can eat after 10:30. So if we go to 11, we go to 11. I said, I'm not going to eat before 2:30. Ironically, we're filming at 2:30. I'm not eating until after this conversation. And I said to myself, I can eat at 2:30, but I don't want to eat before. I can eat after. So if I go until 3:30, sometimes I'm busy at work and whatnot, and all of a sudden, wow, it's 3:15. And then I said to myself, dinner, I don't want to be overly restrictive on dinner. So I know it's 6:30, but you know what? Sometimes 6:30 is tough. So I'm like, let me go till 7:30. Let me go till 8 o'clock. Let me go till 8:30 sometimes. And I just found that rhythm that I was like, all right, I feel like this is beginning to work. And, like I said, the first few pounds I felt were a little bit easy. I got stuck around probably 200 for a few weeks. It was fluctuating to a 1. And then I was like, all right, I got to kick it into gear. But I really feel that the nutrition for me was the key factor. And being able to have that sense of control in a healthy way, was such a critical factor, I feel, for me. The exercises are great. I won't lie, like, it's 3 times a week for me working out. And sometimes, just before I go to bed, I try and pop out 20, 30 push-ups in my room.
Yeah.
But really it was 3 times a week. For me, I was like, I could not get to 5 times a week at times, 5 times, just with the kids running around. So I said, I'm gonna do 3 times a week, but I'm gonna make them super intense. And so that's what I did. But for me, it was really the nutrition. It was all about the nutrition, was being able to be in control of the food in a good way, not in a way that makes me crazy or makes me look weird to other people. There definitely was an aspect where I did feel where, in any regiment or weight loss, or again, however you want to spin it, I feel it's more what you don't eat than what you do eat. All right. I can't be eating French fries, but I could be eating a little chocolate ball every now and then. And so those were some of the things that I did. I gave myself some rules that I said, I can follow this, and to me, it's a rule which makes sense. It's a rule which I feel like I could integrate into my day to day. And so that's really what helped me kind of create the most success, is just following to those rules, being strict to those rules, deviating every now and then, but being on the right side than more often than being on the right side.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. And I think what came to me as you're saying, it's like disciplined, but not restricted.
Yeah.
Disciplined in that you put some guidelines down, particularly with timing. That's why we're such huge proponents, as you know, in the meal plan of like, let's start with your structure first.
Yeah.
Like first, when, like what's the architecture, and secondarily food. There's lots of different kinds of healthy foods you could eat. So you nailed that.
That's
and
right.
I also think what's powerful is this experience you talk about being hungry. You wake up some mornings, and maybe sometimes mornings you're not hungry and it's easy to go to 11. But some mornings you wake up and you are hungry and you're starving, yet you stick to this sacred rule.
You have to. One of the things that I feel was, sometimes I feel like when we get into this, I want to lose weight, I want to get healthy. It's, oh, but I'm busy. Oh, but I'm this. Oh, but, and listen, we've all been there, right? Like, I'm not the one to say, don't make, I've made all the excuses, possible. At one point though, there needs to be a bit of a, listen, if you really want to do this, then you're going to have to nix something. You just can't go to a restaurant 5 nights a week and be able to walk out there not having dessert one of those times. So it just became, the long term for me was what I want out of this. I really want to just feel good more than anything. I'm thrilled and stoked about the weight loss, but for me it was, I want to feel good more than anything. Like, I don't want to wake up tired. I don't want to wake up exhausted. And that was really part of it. Was I don't feel good. Like, I legit do not feel good. But yeah, evidently it was, the time restriction was huge. Eating at 10:30, and like you said, being hungry in the morning and saying, and typically when I was hungry in the morning, I'd be like, I knew I had perhaps a bigger meal the night before. Typically if I finish eating early, I'm not hungry until I can go longer. It's kind of this weird, like sometimes when I finish eating at 8:30 at night, I'm hungry at 7 o'clock in the morning. But if I finish eating at 6:45 at night or 7, I can go until 11 o'clock, 11:30. And, so all of those things kind of play tricks in your mind. But evidently, I said to myself, I'm not going to eat before 10:30, no matter what happens. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to have coffee. I'm going to have water. I'm going to, you give great examples about having water with lemons, right? Like lemon juice and water, that helps. A pinch of salt really helps. It really cuts the hunger in the morning if you feel that. So those are some of the things I did. And again, I'm 10:30, 2:30 dinner, and I try and be as disciplined, but I do my best to give myself as much flexibility as I can, because if not, I know I'm going to fall off if I don't. If I say to myself, I have to eat at 7 o'clock and I don't, there's this disappointment factor that kicks in automatically. And so that's the flexibility that I've allowed myself that I feel evidently has really helped along the way.
It obviously has. And for context, you've lost how much weight?
So my heaviest, actually way back, I was 225. I actually lost some weight. I got myself down to about 195. But again, that was probably the unhealthy way, because I had done it through lots of cardio, and it was super, it was this fluctuation. But the most recent was 209, let's say 210, and I'm at 173 right now. So it's about 36.
You lost
36
around
pounds.
35, 36 pounds.
Say 35, 36 pounds. That's right.
And what I love about it too is you have young kids at home. You're working in a family business.
Yeah.
And you've figured out the things that you need to be disciplined about, which for you is the structure of the timing of the eating.
That's right.
This is also something that you can do no matter what, wherever you go, traveling for business, out of town, like you can maintain that rhythm. So I think it's a rhythm that's great.
That's right.
You're learning more about your body. So you're also figuring out that if I don't sleep well the night before, I'm hungry the next day. Or if I eat too late, this is that. So you learn more about your body from this structure. And you didn't go overly crazy about the workouts. I mean, you're doing our workouts are high intensity and challenging, no doubt about that.
There's no doubt they're challenging.
Not like you have to do it every single day if you're a busy person. The nutrition plus the sprinkled in workouts obviously moves the needle.
It does. I mean, like I said, for me, it's 3 days, if I can get 3 intense workouts in, that to me is really good. And then typically, every night or every other night, just before bed or whatnot, I'll kind of hit and again try and do some push-ups and just to get like a stretch going or like a little bit of a pump going, something to I didn't work out today, but at least so those are some of the things that really helped me. And again, evidently it's what really has, I think, helped me out. I also want to say, the time restriction is very, very powerful, but sometimes again there's that aspect of flexibility. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, here in Montreal, in Quebec, it was a national holiday here in Quebec yesterday, and so we took the kids to the zoo. And so I said to myself, all right, we're leaving early in the morning. It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. Instead of doing 2:30 dinner, I'm going to do 12 o'clock because that's when everybody's going to kind of have lunch. 12 o'clock, a small snack around 4 or 5, and then dinner. And so again, knowing that I kind of took me half a second to pre-plan that before, executed on my plan, like did not eat at 10:30, waited it out. Yeah, I was a little bit hungry, had some water, drank some water to kind of cut the curb. And then at that point was able to kind of have lunch with everybody. Maybe had a little bit of a bigger lunch than I would normally do breakfast. And then on the drive home had a little protein bar, which kind of held me until dinner. And so that flexibility that I've allowed myself, I allow myself that flexibility, and I'm good with it. And that's really what has, I think, helped in my journey is just not throwing myself under the bus whenever I don't eat well, which has happened every now and then.
Michael, I want to say well played on that. And you've said a lot of phenomenal things, but in particular, that actually makes me the most proud of you, because what you just demonstrated, and I think it's subtle, and I want people to pick up on this, is that little dance in planning. It's the skill set that you've developed now where you're like, this is what's going on today. I know I need to make these 1 or 2 adjustments. You make the plan and you execute the plan. And oftentimes before we get on our health system, we just don't have any plan at all. There's That's not right. even a little bit of this thing, but now you have the skill set. So no matter what happens, you're going to be able to like, okay, I'm making these 1 or 2 adjustments, ready, go.
That's right.
And that is the meta skill of this health stuff. And you clearly have it now. And that also gives me so much confidence on why this is going to be sustainable for you moving forward.
I will say, and I agree, by the way, but I will say as well, that, sometimes in just talking about that adjustment, sometimes, I've said to myself, all right, like maybe I should break that 10:30 and eat sooner. Maybe I'll be overly hungry, if I go kind of long enough. And that's how I've always thought. I've always said to myself, let me eat and deal with it later. Mm-hmm. And now I'm saying to myself, no, eating is not the answer. And again, it's not in an unhealthy way or in a negative way I'm saying that. It's in a way that I can keep myself accountable. Is that if I do something which I know is breaking my rules, it's gonna be hard to emotionally recover from it. But if I say to myself, you know what, I'm not gonna eat at 10:30, I'm eating at 12, or you know what, man, I'm gonna even go longer than that. I might even go until, let's say, I don't know, 1 o'clock, or let's say I might have breakfast at 10:30, be out on the road, forget to pack either a protein bar or lunch. And then I said to myself, okay, instead of going out and buying food at 2:30, I'm going to stick it out until I get home, let's say at 3:30, rather than going out and, eating something that might be unhealthy. Just a million and one options that, you can grab on the go. So rather than doing that, knowing that I'm going to be out of, I'm not going to be able to, I'm not going to know what to do right in the moment. Like, what do you do? Yeah, okay, I'll just take something just because I'm hungry. Rather than do that, train myself or, tell myself it's okay. You'll be all right. Just wait it out. And then, if I happen to miss the 2:30 meal, let's say I get home at 3:30 or 4 o'clock, I'll have my meal at 4 o'clock. It just kind of works out. But my rules, work for me. They, somebody else will have a different set that might work for them. And it just kind of works for me. I've managed it in a way that, I can have a healthy aspect of control over it. And I feel it works.
And I think the added benefit of things like intermittent fasting, which I'm a huge fan of, I do as well. it's just a really good way to set things up. It helps you observe your hunger and not identify with it as much, and it strengthens your discipline in the process. I mean, the fact that you're able to now go through these, observe the hunger and no longer be a quote unquote slave to it, this control
That's
that you
right.
feel is just incredible, right?
Yeah. It's hugely powerful to be able to, be hungry, curb the hunger, and then eat something where is kind of, it's healthy or it's good for you, or it's, sticking to the program or whatnot, rather than feeling hungry, having something small just to kind of hold you, and then just, not knowing kind of, okay, I had that, and then all of a sudden, you're just thrown off. So, like I said, I have not deviated, since November. It really has been a very, strict 10:30, 2:30 dinner. I give myself flexibility on dinner, but I do not give myself flexibility on breakfast or lunch.
And we talk about that a lot, right? You need to balance consistency with variety, and you seem like you've nailed that. Especially you're a busy guy working in your company. It's almost good to have regimented first meals of the day.
Yeah,
because they're you don't need to think about it. You like it, and then dinner can be all sorts of different stuff.
that's right.
And there's no such thing as perfect. It's just a cluster of good decisions moving
That's right.
forward.
That's right. I agree.
Here's a question I have: for those who are listening, it's a shame because they don't get to see how damn healthy you look.
Oh, thank
Like
you.
you're glowing. You're like you look like an incredibly healthy, vibrant man, and
Thank
it's
you.
amazing. Now, how has that change in your being and your energy affected the different areas of your life, like your productivity at work, your relationship with your family, maybe some of your inner stuff, the non-fitness or the non-scale victories, as we like to call them too. What are some of those? What have those been for you?
I mean, there's definitely no doubt. There's been, I kind of see it in every aspect. And I don't want it to sound cliche, but it's the truth. I'm up every morning between 6 and 6:30. I do my best to kind of wake up, maybe a little bit before the family. And these are things I would have never been able to do just from feeling unhealthy. Being up at 6 and, being able to get up before everybody else does, grabbing a cup of coffee, just, having 10 minutes to myself has just been, I mean, I can't explain what 10 minutes in the morning does to just, I know we're recharged from sleep, but 10 minutes in the morning just to have, to yourself, it's huge. So those are one of the things that I really try and do. Even my wife knows. She's like, babe, it's 6:15. Let's go. Go grab your shower so you can go grab your coffee, right? Like there's, she's really kind of, you know, really bought into, and just sees some of those changes. But I really think it's helped all along. I mean, like, with my kids, there's they love working out with me. Like when I'm exercising in the basement, my son comes and, he's 3. So he's like, he comes down and he starts doing push-ups and this, it's just,
Nice.
some of those things are priceless to see. It really is those little things. From a work standpoint, I mean, I'd say I'm probably a little bit more productive, although I'm not going to lie, I haven't thought about that too much. I think I'm probably maybe just as productive as I was, before. I'm not too sure that has changed too much. But as far as just, the energy level, being able to show my kids, how to, they work out with daddy. It's just, I cannot explain.
That's cool.
Just it's such a simple, yet very emotional feeling to have your 3-year-old and your 5-year-old. My daughter, they both come down together and they see me kind of in the basement with the music blaring, and they both come down together and they kind of start pumping out push-ups with me.
And what's amazing about that, as I'm thinking about this is the home environment that they're being raised in. This is like the new normal. They're moving their bodies. How could it not shape them in a productive way to
I
make
hope
this
so.
a joyful thing, right?
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's really beautiful to see. My final question for you, Mike, is there are a lot of guys who, when you found us, you were actually not even 40 yet. You were in your late 30s, who
Yep.
are charging hard at their career, building their families, building their wealth, staying busy, maybe haven't had like a big, heart attack or bad doctor's visit or anything devastating like that, but are kind of stuck in the limbo of just the frustration. What advice would you give to that man, or even to yourself at that time? What would you say now that you've gone through this journey?
I knew this question was coming. I think, listen, all of us kind of go through these different emotions at different times. I believe that every guy, man, husband, wants to do their best, wants to be their best. And I can completely understand and appreciate how, 101 things kind of gets in the way, because it's always kind of been like that for me. I think, if I would have to advise someone and say, or give someone a piece of direction and says, number one, listen, I'm only 40 years old, so I don't know what what it's like to be, in mid 50s or 40s or 60s or whatever it is. But I do believe it's probably never too late to start. That's for sure. And so that would be the first thing I would say. It's probably never too late to start. You know, and I will say as well that it is extremely important, in my view, to have proper and realistic expectations. A lot of the times when we see these programs that, it's and marketing, it takes time. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. I'm probably a little on the perhaps fortunate side. I might have had a bit of a foundation, only because I've been, I won't say obsessed, but I've always been thinking about my health. So maybe I had a bit of a better foundation. And so, maybe some other people don't. But setting realistic expectations, I think, is critical. It doesn't happen overnight. It shouldn't happen overnight. It's a long, fun process. There needs to be fun in losing weight and getting healthy, as perhaps as weird as that might sound. It's got to be fun. It's got to be fun. It's, you have to find the joys in the small wins. There are no home runs in this. You are not, you're not gonna lose 50 pounds in a week. It just, A, it doesn't make sense. B, it's not healthy. C, you'll probably get people being like, what the hell happened to you? And that's not what you want. So I think advice would be realistic expectations. You're in for the long haul. Find ways to make it fun. Enjoy the 1 pound weight loss. Don't get stuck up on on when your scale fluctuates and you're up 2 pounds. It's those don't mean much. What means everything is the long haul. What means everything is, what you're in it for the long haul. We gotta, I'm trying to see 43, 44, 45, 50. That's how far I'm trying to see. I'm trying to see at that point in time. So that's really what I would say. Realistic expectations, probably never too late to really start. Have fun. You gotta have fun. You have to set, for myself, I call it rules. But there is sacrifice. There has to be. We can't eat anything we want. There has to be sacrifice in order for it to have that, to have it mean something. There has to be. It can't just be, eat whatever you want, work out 3 times a week, and boom, all of a sudden overnight. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen in business, doesn't happen in anything. And it shouldn't happen in this as well. And so I've seen it as a long, long, long journey. I've had 101 failures. And, at this point, I'm feeling really good. I feel confident that I've gotten myself to a disciplined format where, where I feel good, where even if I mess up a little bit, I'm pretty confident it's not going to completely derail me. And I'm I'm truly am forever grateful. I mean, like, it's been fun. I've had a great time. I've really enjoyed, all the, the social media, with the Fit Father Project social media page and all that kind of stuff. It's just been an interesting experience, and there aren't that many programs geared for guys are, just for men. It's more, and so to have something geared for men is pretty cool.
Yeah, it
So
is cool. And it has been fun. This
yeah,
conversation's been fun. And a lot of wisdom in what you shared, Mike. And congratulations.
thank you.
I'm so confident in your system as well and all that you learned. And this was a long time coming for you. And I think but that makes it all the more rewarding because it's also who you become in this process. And that's the good stuff, right?
It definitely is it definitely is rewarding. And again, I've been through, and I'm sure everybody has. There's been a lot of people that they've go through the ups, the downs. I only, I gained 3 pounds or this. There's just so much negative self-talk, and I think we just gotta eliminate all the self-talk, negative self-talk that is, eliminate all the background noise, and really just try and focus on, being the best version of the program, following the program as best as we possibly can, not getting beaten up when you don't see a result right away. I know it's easy for me to say that right now because perhaps I'm on the other side, and so that it might be easy at this point in time, but the truth is it's been almost 7 months now, and I can tell you nothing that I've ever done in this respect has lasted even more than a month. And so, again, I thank you very much, and just really appreciate all of your guidance in the videos and this. It's been a lot of fun. So,
Thanks for this conversation, Mike. Excited to get this out to the guys. I know it's going to help a lot of people. And the truth you shared, being on the other side, this is what men need to hear, because what you see is true now is from the perspective of someone who got over the hurdles, a man with 101 excuses. You're the perfect case study, man. So thank you for being real and sharing all this, and God bless. And I'm so excited for your future, your healthy kids, happy family, and 6-pack abs at 50. And we will bring you on in 10 years.
That'd be awesome.
Just to check back in. All right, Michael, thank you so much for this. We appreciate it tremendously. And everyone, thanks for listening to Fit Father Project Podcast. We have more episodes just like this coming up soon. Stay tuned.